Welcome to Queernecks, the podcast that puts the yeehaw in y'all means all. I'm your host, Beck.
And I am your host, Dash. Welcome to today's episode.
In high school, I had a teacher that if somebody would burp, he'd say, "Save the big chunks for me." And that's what I
That
still
is
think.
awful.
My high school teachers were very colorful.
Yeah.
One of my teachers, we called him the Monsieur. He was the French teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the Valley pronunciation of Monsieur. He was like 5'2", maybe, and and that wide as well. He was a very round man. He would bring a 2-liter to work with him every day. And he drove over an hour to come to work. Usually Mountain Dew, but sometimes Pepsi.
I was about to say, probably Mountain Dew.
Yeah. He drove over an hour just to come to work every day. Because he lived in Huntington and we were out in Lucasville. But he tried his damnedest to teach us French. And then at some point he just gave up and taught us the least amount. Though I did end up, they do something called scholarship tests in Ohio. I don't know if they still do them, but you take tests on different, like a couple of people from each school take different tests and you get ranked. And I was 14th in the district in French and I know like 3 words. So
what was the competition like?
Yeah, exactly. What did they know? I swear I got it because I got the word for mustard right, which is moutard, which is just objectively funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a fun word to say.
I personally am going to remember that forever.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And then we learned things. He taught us things like, j'ai envie du poulet ce soir, du poulet ce soir. I feel like chicken tonight, like chicken tonight.
I didn't take French ever, but I took Spanish and Latin in high school. I do remember some Spanish. Of course, I've taken Spanish since then. And like I took Spanish in college and I do those like Duolingo things every so often just to brush up, especially when I was doing recruitment in like the Lexington area of Kentucky. Lots of Spanish speaking parents. And so I got to where I could nominally communicate with them, but I don't even know what the stages are, but I'm nowhere near like conversational or fluent or anything like that. I'm like, could help you get out of a burning building level of like, we'll get there. It won't be pretty, but my pronunciation is really good. And so I have had some really awkward moments where I've had to like sort of let people down, be like, no, I don't actually know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm a really good mimic, right? Just because I can sound like, not like you, because that's silly, right? No, you're never going to sound like a native speaker, no matter how good you get at like the language itself. But like, I can mimic you really well. The same thing happened there was a woman, a Chinese woman who came to the ACS program a few years after I was still there. And so she introduced herself and I just repeated her name back to her like you do. And she's like, wow, your pronunciation is incredible. Do you know Chinese? And I was like, no. I'm just good at mimicking people. So good that I don't think I even have my own aesthetic. When I was like a singer, I could mimic anybody, but I couldn't tell you what I sounded like.
Right.
I used to be able to do impressions really good, but not since I transitioned. My voice is different now.
Yeah. I have no talents like that. My stupid human trick is that I can cross one eye at a time.
I don't know. I guess impressions I just love people who are really good at impressions.
Yeah, me too. Stand-up comedy and comedy itself was really a big formative thing. When I was growing up, I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live growing up, and I read a lot of comedy books. Like there was this one book that I tracked down years later called something like the Big American Book of Humor or something. And there was lots of jokes in it, and I learned a lot from that book, and it was just contemporary American humor in written form. Like there were skits and then there were jokes and there were comics and sketches and short stories and all kinds of little things like that. It was a really good book. But all of that's really been important. And then when I got XM radio, I was one of the first million subscribers. Like I was early in on XM.
XM is big in the comedy.
Yeah.
Like,
that's all I listened to was the comedy channels. I really enjoy, I'm very particular when it comes to stand-up comedians. I don't like comedians that go straight for a dick joke. Like that's my least favorite. Like, that's the lowest rung of humor. And if that's all you got, then you probably suck.
I don't know much about stand-up really. Like I enjoy it, of course. And there's a handful of comics that I appreciate and can name and can reference specific things, but they're probably ones that anybody could name. I don't have any like deep cuts, but I love all kinds of humor though. And one of my favorite things is improv. Not like, I mean, improv troops and stuff. That's cool. I don't think I could do that, but I did fuck around with it some because randomly in high school for like 1 year, we got a drama teacher. I don't think we ever had one before or since. And she shouldn't have stayed. She was a very inappropriate person, but she did know, she was educated. She knew a lot about drama and acting and stuff like that. And so I took that course. And then that was the year I was really active in the plays that we would do. Like, I don't think I was in a play any other, well, maybe we didn't have them anymore after she left, but that was how I learned about like yes-anding and the generosity of being in a comedy duo or ensemble, right? Like how building comedy from scratch among people works. And you can kind of, I saw there's a podcast called Race Chaser with Willem Belly and Alaska 5000. They are two former RuPaul Drag Race queens, and they recap the seasons, and they're critical. Willem hates RuPaul. It's hysterical. But she pointed out something like there's a subtle kind of rigging and sabotage that goes on that Ru does, especially when she inserts herself into the challenges. And they had an improv challenge, and there was a queen that was eliminated. And Willem's perspective was that Ru sabotaged her by being a bad improv partner intentionally. Because instead of yes-anding, the scene was something like check into a hotel, right? Classic improv scene. And so the queen was like, do you have any rooms or whatever? And Ru just kept saying no. And it's like, okay, that's not, how is she supposed to work with that? If you make a joke, they're supposed to build on it. If you're not building on whatever the joke was, you're sabotaging. You're intentionally stomping on the humor.
Right.
I don't care if you don't like that person or what. You're there to do a job. And if the job is to be funny or entertaining and that's all you got, fuck off. Like, you really got to try to show up. I think teaching is similar. I mean, anything, like, we really have to be so conscious of our biases when it comes to dealing with people that we just don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Working with people you don't like is hard.
It really
Fork
is.
pounding kitchen, right?
Especially when you're doing a performance of it, which is what teaching is 100% of performance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you've got that one annoying kid that you really hate, or somebody asks a question that is, I don't know, stupid. And, sometimes there are stupid questions. I don't care what they say. Sometimes there are stupid questions when they aren't listening, or they get their news from a dubious source or something. Sometimes there are
some questions. They're just bad faith.
Yeah.
Like, you're not asking that because you want me to inform you. You are starting something.
Like when Mr. solved racism in my class a couple of weeks ago when we did the model minority myth, he went on about how it's not such a bad thing. And I'm like, well, that's part of the allure of the model minority myth, right? It's that this is a good thing. So why can't other minorities do it as well? Or, and what if you're an Asian person who's really bad at math? How are you supposed to
Or doesn't like math?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that too in my trainings. I'll ask, like, is there any such thing as a positive stereotype? Because white middle class people love to allege that some stereotypes are positive. And it's a misunderstanding of what the words positive and negative mean. If what we were saying was can and can't, then maybe. But the all Asians are good at math one comes up. Or people from Mexico are hard workers. Or like, okay, we have to dig into what you think that means. And then, you're standing there knowing, like, I'm doing all of this labor and this person is not going to give a fuck. They're not engaging.
Yeah.
Like, man, there was sometimes I've been like, wow, this is some of my best work and it is wasted on you.
Been there,
but
too.
There's others there too. And every time you do something, you get better at it. But still.
I showed the film White Like Me yesterday in both of my ethnic studies classes.
What's that one?
Tim Wise. The educator's name, his name is Tim Wise. And it's really kind of just a framework at looking at racism through a white focus. And he talks about how when he was a kid, his parents put him in a pre-K and elementary school program that was mostly Black, that was predominantly Black. And here he was, this little redheaded white kid. And he said that gave him an early appreciation for Black authority figures and things like that. And that's how he's come to see things. And he gives you a really good framework for thinking about what you can do on a personal level, because you didn't create racism, right? And so you can't take ownership of it or whatever, but you do have to acknowledge the system and that you benefit from it. And that's a big thing that people don't want to acknowledge, is that as a white person, I have benefited from racism. And once you understand that and realize that nobody's pointing a finger, they're just saying that's the way it is, then you can open up to a lot of other ideologies that, to do anti-racist work. Because he's like, wouldn't it be wonderful that if we learned about some of these people that were anti-racist? And he lists like maybe 20 people, 15 to 20 people who were agitators and got arrested and sat with people during the sit-ins and walked with people when they went into the desegregated schools. And, and he talked about the white people that did that stuff. He was like, how much easier would it be if we talked about that there has been white involvement in this kind of thing?
There has to be.
Yeah.
I saw a woman, a granny, was at a protest, and one of those like TikTokers or YouTubers or whoever goes out with a microphone to the protest and just barrages people with questions.
Yeah.
And somebody thought they got her. They were like, oh, I've noticed that all the people out here protesting are white people. And she was like, and that's the way it should be. She was like, I'm an old white woman. What are they going to do to me? She's like, I don't risk as much as any given person of color when it comes to civic action or whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, well.
I've had a lot of old lady white old lady privilege. Like the last time I got pulled over, knock on wood, I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon, was the last time I got pulled over. Not only did I not get a ticket, I got a survey to rate the cop's performance. And I was speeding in a school zone.
How's my policing?
Yeah. I don't know if I just look like
Lord.
somebody who would give him a good grade or whatever. But I was like, yes, sir, I'll do that for you. But you better believe I did not put my name anywhere near that bullshit. So I just kind of tucked it away and went about my day. Thank you.
Anyway, so we talked off the air about maybe like the will, what have you, and how one of the reasons we haven't been doing it is because it is a shitload of work.
Right.
To come up with like topics that we haven't done before, and then on the spot think of, like we're both old with ADHD and, haven't led entirely sober lives. so it'd be like days later and I'll think like, oh shit, I should have said this or that about it. So I've been thinking, and what I think we'll do instead is like keep the same categories, keep them more general, and spin it, and then we can just like so that they come up regularly. We can, instead of trying to come up with new stories about them, I thought we could just bullshit about giving advice or joking about them or something like that. What got me thinking about it was doing the Camel Cash last week and thinking about like how many rewards programs keep me going right now, or just how much like bullshit financial things I do. I know people, for instance, here, I was talking about rednecking to a friend. I was like, hey, I got to go to Fargo and sell some shit. Anybody want to go rednecking? And he's like, what is rednecking? I was like, well, this is kind of like a legal version, but I just got a bunch of stuff I don't use, and I'm going to go see if I can get some money out of it. And we were talking, and I've realized that he has no idea of how to even do that. Like, what would that say? I needed $20 or $50. I could easily do that, right? There's something in here that's worth $20 to somebody.
Right.
It is very easy to turn the garbage you have around your house into quick cash if you absolutely need to. I just haven't needed to for a long time, and I have a bunch of it accumulate. Like right now, I'm looking at a bunch of keyboards that I built, mechanical keyboards. I know I could get some dollars out of those if I needed to. And so I'm preparing to maybe move or at least like downsize some stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go make some quick cash, go over to Fargo where they actually have things. So anyway, I was thinking like we could talk about just random shit like that. Because I know that you have your side hustles and things that you do too.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I want to do is tell this insane story of how we both recently expanded our households. You adopted a new baby.
Yes.
That I don't think the listeners know about yet. We'll get you a picture in the newsletter this week. You want to tell us about it?
We have a new addition to our family. Her name is Rue. She's a 5-year-old Maltese. She was a dumped breeding dog that came out of Indiana. And she is the sweetest, cutest little thing. Her name Rue came from the fact that little white dogs like that often have tears, like tear stains. And hers look like rouge on her cheeks. So it comes from the rouge of that. And also Rue, like McClanahan, like Blanche Devereaux. We just thought it really fits her. When we got her name was Lily. But we were like, no, she's more of a Rue. So.
Yeah, for sure.
My niece said we should call her Rhubarb.
I'm sure she'll have plenty of nicknames as her personality emerges. That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
Well, and I adopted a Ram 1500 Warlock with a 5.7 liter Hemi engine. But I wanted to do this I needed to improve my finances and not. So I needed a truck. I need something that can tow things, a trailer. I needed something that can handle some payload. I love my Subaru. I would have kept both if I could have afforded it, but Subaru was worth its weight in gold. If you like, those things are indestructible. And so out here, trucks are really cheap. So I was having to go over to Fargo a lot to go to the hospital. I started looking around. There's a ton of, it's like a hub for wholesale over there. So if you are a cheapskate, and I learned some of this from my dad too, who was also a cheapskate, but the first thing you do if you know you're going to be looking for a vehicle is case the joint. Become intimately familiar with the inventory at every car lot in a drivable period. This takes weeks, by the way. I have spent weeks doing this. I did it. I used AutoTrader and Cars.com. I built a query of my price range, what characteristics I wanted. And then as I saw vehicles that I liked, I would then go to that car lot's website and then take a look at everything else they have. I would watch for whether their prices adjusted or something. Some you like want to know if one is a negotiating car lot or if they do like that best price thing where they absolutely will not negotiate with you. So, that's kind of normal, but it takes a lot of effort. But the next level is you invest in a salesperson. So on cars.com, their pictures are there. It'll say like, contact this salesperson. And they think they're getting, and they are getting access to us. If anybody ever has done sales or marketing or anything, that like their websites are most likely run by Spark pages. And if you interact with them, like say you send an email or something through it, it creates a record of an inquiry. You get assigned directly to that salesperson. So the one you pick, that's a strategic point as well. So I was like, okay, men my age think I'm much younger than I am. Oh, and they're all men. There are no women salespeople. So they don't really respect me. They feel we never meet in the middle because they think they're in charge and they don't realize they're not until too late. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a young one. So there's this kid. He's like wore glasses, clearly young, really skinny, long straggly hair. And I was like, this is a snowboarder. He is in it for the quick cash and he has expensive hobbies. And his name is fucking Blake. So I was like, all right, you're my guy, Blake. So I sent him a message. When you get the automated message, it means that the record has been created. You've been put into their query base, but then they'll send you one that is, you can tell that they've written it themselves because it'll have poor grammar, misspellings. He didn't capitalize the B in his name. And so that number is the one you can always talk directly to them from. So I'm like becoming friends with Blake. And then I stopped by and I was like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. And I drove a bunch of stuff I knew I wasn't going to buy, basically just so I could spend the day with him. I knew I was going to buy from him, so I wasn't wasting his time, but I was investing in him as a person. This all sounds so fucking sociopathic, but it's not. I'm not a sociopath. So like the day after I bought the truck, I was like, I wonder what Blake's doing. But like for wholesalers, they don't get new inventory. Everything they sell is used and they're just doing trade. So you can get a great deal from them, but they have to spend $4,000 or $5,000 on them between the point they get them on trade and then to get them professionally detailed, to get their professional headshots. So I was like, if you get one of these in this price range, it meets these categories, call me. I want it before you do all that to it because that bumps the price up by several thousand. So, and then here's what I have. appraise it now. Let me know what you want to give me for it. So I got a really good deal on this fucking truck just because I had the time, I guess, to mount an assault. Although gas is expensive now. It's not a good time for that.
Yeah, for real. We didn't go through all that when we got our car. We searched Carvana a lot and looked at different area. We knew the kind of car we wanted, so that narrowed it down quite a bit. We knew we wanted to get an Equinox. So we looked at all the different places and we found a place that had a good one with good mileage and a good price. And we went up and we were like, we want that one. And we bought it and left.
Yeah. Like you don't want to be in a position to have to haggle because they always win on that. And you're once by the time you're there looking at it, talking about buying it, whatever the vehicle is, you're locked in. You're not going to get you're not going to improve your deal. It's not to say you can't get a good deal. Like it's the legwork you do up until that point. I also started with Carvana to see what they would offer me on the car, which was good. They'll give you a different trade-in amount than Kelley Blue Book will. Do you have any rewards programs that you like right now?
Kroger is a good one. I always get my gas at a discounted price. Yeah, if you get your groceries on Fridays, they usually have a coupon where you get 4 times the points. Yeah, and then you can use those towards and then they started a thing where it's not as good, but if you get 100 points, you can trade it in for $1 off your order instead of doing the 20 cents off of gas or whatever it is.
Oh,
I'd rather have it off my gas though, because gas is so expensive.
Yeah. Well, and it's per gallon. So say you have like a large tank.
Yeah. Mine's a 14-gallon tank.
I use the Upside thing for gas. You connect your card to it. You select whatever gas station you're going to, and it'll tell you how many it is. Like, say you get cash back for whatever gas you buy. So if it's 10 cents per gallon and you have a 20-gallon tank or something, then what is that?
$2?
$2? Yeah. So you got $2 for filling up gas that day. And so and it just collects in a thing and then you cash out like a PayPal.
Nice. What was it called?
Upside. And it's just, they get paid through some sort of thing, like a relationship with the gas station, the company that does that. So, yeah. And then I use my credit card that has 2% cash back. So I linked that to the Upside. So I'm getting like double cash back.
Oh, nice.
And then you collect points. So I'm just like hoarding points for a rainy day. That's my safety net, is the points I have on my credit card.
I also do these 2 on my phone. One is through Facebook. It's like an invite only thing. And mostly they just want to see your data, which I don't care. But sometimes I'll send you a task to do. Like they'll be like, say these 100 phrases, and you record yourself saying 100 different, very random phrases. I guess you're training their AI, and they'll give you $5. It takes 10 minutes to do, and they give you $5 for doing it. And I've made several $100s doing that. And then the Google rewards. I think a lot of people know about Google rewards. I've made several $100s doing it. I don't know if it works on iPhones, but I know that it works on Androids. Basically, if you go, like I search the Reds because I want to know what time the game is or whatever. It'll say, which one of these pages would you have liked better? It'll give you version A or version B. And you say which one you would have rather have had to give you the results that you needed, that kind of thing. Or it'll ask you if you have a receipt. Say you go to Bob Evans. It'll be like, do you have your receipt? And you just take a picture of it and it'll ask you a couple of questions and you'll get 35 cents or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. I was like trying to look at jobs and stuff on the job boards. The only thing out here is Survey Taker.
Yeah.
And there's so many. Well, the last time I tried to do that was 2007 though. So it was such a pain in the ass. And I wound up not doing it enough to actually make any money. And I have the Casey's rewards. Now that I don't smoke, I'm not really racking up Casey's rewards like I used to.
Talking about the Camel Cash the other day made me look up the cigarettes my mom smoked. And like my heart fluttered a little when I saw that pack of cigarettes that I haven't seen in 30 years. That was like such a part of my childhood. And then there was a picture of the back of the pack and it was the coupons that came with it. And it took my breath away. Shanna said that she found some of those going through mom's stuff. They were everywhere. Those 2 coupons got into everything.
Oh, yeah, I see them.
The blue, gold, and white packs. Yeah.
Wow. People collect these old cigarettes.
Yeah.
And cigarette packs and stuff.
If I had disposable income like that, I probably would buy a pack just to have them for the memories. But I'm not trying to spend money on that right now.
I've got the other day, like I had this urge to smoke my pipe that I have just because I like the smell of it. One of my favorite smells from my childhood is my Uncle Jerry's pipe. He smoked cherry tobacco. And I have a pretty nice pipe and some tobacco, but like that's just a gateway drug. That's how you start smoking again.
Right. That's how cloves were for me.
You think like this is different. It's got to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
You just don't get to have tobacco again.
Yeah.
And at this point, I am not fucking with my health anymore.
Yeah. I feel that too.
Which is so ridiculous. Were you ever that kid who said like, well, I'm going to die young anyway and just continue to make terrible decisions?
Yeah, pretty much. None of my aunts made it out of their 50s, except for my Aunt Jenny. And she's like almost 80.
I met with a geneticist yesterday, and you can tell when a doctor or some professional who's kind of studying you, for lack of a better word, is about to say something fucked up, because they'll go like, I have to ask everybody this. And she goes, is it possible your parents are related? And I said, has anybody ever said yes to that? Because the answer is yes for me. She said, no, most people say no. And I was like, well, they're not like siblings or first cousins, but yeah, here's a little bit about where I'm from. And she was like, okay, that's going to change things a little. Great.
I am related. I am my own cousin by marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you probably don't really talk to many people like me, like for whom that is actually a factor in their genetic health that they know of. You know, I mean, we're all, you know, if we could on a long enough timeline, we're all cousins or whatever, right. But not like in recent history that we know of. And that's like, I have a cousin who has traced the genealogy of my mom's side of the family. Shockingly, not a ton of visible inbreeding, but there's some like, you know, distant cousins. But then on dad's side of the family, there's no genealogy. Like you don't get to know that unless you're one of them. They are very secretive about it.
Right.
So that's going to die with grandmother. Like, I don't know shit about that side of the family. I kind of want to. Like, I wasn't curious. And I remember listening to them all talk. They would get together at the holidays and talk about all the ones that, well, this one was related to that one. And is this one still living? And which one was that one now? Because they had so many names, like the same name, like that each generation would have, they would just switch the names around. So like I had like 3 Iones, 2 Nolas.
It was the Leans in my family. Arlene, Thylene, Annalene, Starlene, Ethylene. I'm kidding on that last one. I'm surprised they didn't do that one though. And my grandfather was Virgil.
Virgil's pretty good.
Yeah. My mama and papa were Virgil and Arlene.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is country.
Yep.
I was looking at land for sale, and there's some acres down there in Portsmouth for pretty cheap.
Yeah, because nobody wants to live there.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Like when I had the filter set so fucking low, like I was like, this, I know exactly what this is going to give me for this price range.
Right.
And it was that and Boonville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Which is in Owsley County, which is always one of the top 5 poorest counties in the country.
Oh, wow.
And it shifts subtly just because the economy does and people move around and stuff like that. But there was a solid 10-year period where the top 10 poorest counties in the country were at least 50% in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Like that part of Appalachia is the poorest.
I'm surprised Scioto County isn't near there.
I don't remember seeing it. I want to see let's see what it's at now. Let's get morbid.
You do, pretty girl. I'm already obsessed with this dog.
Well, wow. Things have changed. So many of these have not been updated since Trump became president. That is interesting because they're not counting anymore. Wow. The most recent one I can find, and I'm not familiar with this source, so let me see what their metrics are. This is 24/7 Wall Street. Then their site. Oh, it's the very first one is Owsley County, but this is counting down backwards. Okay, so that's 25. So they're not even top 10 anymore. Alabama, South Dakota, Tennessee, Louisiana, Magoffin County, Kentucky.
That's where all of my family's from. That's the county that did the genealogy of my family, Magoffin County Historical Society.
That's the 19th poorest county in the country. And there was some land in Salyersville,
That's the town, but my family is the founding family.
Mississippi. A lot more further south. Okay, Lee County, Kentucky. Where is? Oh, that's Beattyville. Yep, there was a lot of land for sale there. Yeah, it's more like the true South now than it was Appalachia at the time. Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, Wolfe County, Kentucky. I don't know Wolfe County. Where's that? Campton. Listeners, if you're from Wolfe County, let us know where you're at. McDowell County, West Virginia. So this is the top 5. McDowell County, West Virginia, Dimmitt County, Texas, Jackson County, South Dakota, Randolph County, Georgia, Issaquah County, Mississippi. Wow, so Mississippi is really going to shit.
Right?
So yeah, Kentucky's not even in the top 5 anymore. I mean, the highest we are is 6. That's interesting. Wonder if it's something to do with that Democratic governor we elected in 2019. Couldn't be that. It snowed yesterday and it's sunny today.
It was 71 degrees here yesterday. It was wonderful.
I think it's going to be warm today. It's 50 already.
That's what it's supposed to be in the 50s today.
Shiny and beautiful.
There's 3 81-degree days coming in the next 15 days here.
It's about fucking time. Jesus Christ. Although, watch me pull up in this 10-day forecast and it's going to be some snow. Yeah. It won't be much, but...
Did it ever melt? Do you guys have ground again?
Yeah, it's gone now. It's just muddy.
Yeah, here too.
Nasty shit.
It's been raining a lot here. I'll take rain over snow any day, though. I got drenched the other day. I bought a brand new umbrella and didn't test it out and went to open it and it was broken. It did not work. And I got drenched walking from Central Hall over to my car, like sopping wet. Like
they kind of have one job.
Yeah. I even had 2 students try to fix it for me and they couldn't do it either. So finally I just gave up and took my punishment. And at least my backpack was mostly waterproof. Like I always put all my shit in big envelopes, like for different classes. That way they don't get mixed up in my bag. And the top of one of the envelopes was slightly damp, but everything else was good.
I've never been able to. I own some umbrellas. I never know where they are. They're never with me when it's raining.
Right.
If it's not a raincoat, it is no good to me. It's not going to do anything. So.
Well, we bought another one, so I do have another umbrella, but it was too late for the other day. It's been a long time since I got caught out in a rainstorm like that.
I remember it used to pour down there.
Yeah.
It doesn't really here. Like it'll rain, but it doesn't storm. Not that I recall anyway. I'm deaf now, though, so it could be like thunderstorming and I wouldn't even know. See, my
Mothman
decided to change things up.
It's a neat statue. It's really big.
Change, the conference on creating change used to be, from what used to be the Gay and Lesbian Task Force, is in Louisville next year. It's usually in January, so January 2027. If I'm anywhere nearby, I might go over there.
Sounds like a good time.
It's usually really informative. Like, for instance, they're really ahead of the curve on stuff. The first time I learned about or started to learn about like the Palestine, the genocide and stuff, like essentially like the war machine that is Israel, was at a Creating Change conference over 10 years ago. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty plugged in, and I really didn't know the specifics of what, organizing looked like in like other countries that aren't Palestine. For instance, like what people are doing in the US, because it's, queer people are kind of like that, they're plugged into everything. Some would say that we are busybodies, but
I think it's more that we don't lead single issue lives. Like Audre Lorde said, issues of genocide in Palestine are my problem because there are, for example, gay and lesbian people there. So therefore it becomes my problem, And I think you get to be more sensitive to things when you realize how much more alike we are than we are different.
Yeah. And how contagious oppression is. I don't think people are consciously going like, everything that happens to anybody else is fine as long as it's not happening to me. Like, I don't think that we would be able to live with ourselves if we were phrasing it that way in our minds. But through whatever process, that is kind of how we operate in general. Is most of the most people anyway, majority culture are like out of sight, out of mind with like oppression, genocide, all that kind of stuff. But the likelihood that if it's happening to anyone, that it would happen to you one day is pretty high.
Right.
I don't understand how that can't be. I mean, especially with as selfish as we are as people, why isn't that your first thought? Like, good God, if that can happen to them, it could happen to me.
Right.
I don't know. Well, let's hear from this week's sponsor. I saw on TikTok that it's prom season. There's a lot of quite a few accounts that post Facebook prom season stuff. I don't know. I didn't know this, but apparently prom is a very big deal.
Did you go to prom in high school?
I went twice.
Yeah, me too.
And it was definitely like a thing. It was rite of passage, but like not to what these people are doing. Like these kids are like renting Bugattis and getting their dresses made by these designers and stuff. And it's clearly fun. And I hope they're having fun, right? Because they should be. But that is not what my prom was like.
Some of them are getting photo shoots like they're getting married. And they look exactly like the photo shoots I would do for somebody getting married and their prom pictures. And that's just awkward to me.
It reminds me of like debutante balls and stuff, like kind of that. And then there's also this performative social media piece of how it's actually, and this is of course parents who are doing this because a kid doesn't have the resources for it. So parents also have to have this, like, they have to believe that it's this important. Just be not a good parent, because I would be like, this shit is not important. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But this week's episode of Queernecks is sponsored by After Prom Party. The second weirder and queerer act of prom, where the shoes come off, the truth comes out, and nobody's parents know where anybody is.
Amen.
It'll start in a driveway or a field or a house that belongs to somebody's cousin. They said it was fine. Dresses are hitched up and ties are already loosened. Carefully constructed looks are one wrong step away from becoming a story for the following day. Cars pull in slow, headlights sweeping over people who suddenly don't look like they did an hour ago. The weight of posturing gives way to freedom and impending revelry. Nobody is entirely certain what's in the cooler or who brought it, but it has a kind of authority to sanction the evening. As it comes from a speaker that works harder than it should, a playlist bounces between sincerity and chaos, like it can't decide what kind of night this is. Somebody is laughing too hard, somebody is very quiet, somebody is having the best night of their life and they don't even know it yet. Somebody else is realizing gently and all at once that things are about to change. Out back, there's a smaller circle with their jackets on the ground, conversations that won't make it to Monday. This is where the real prom happens, where people say what they meant to say all year, or almost say it, or say something sideways that still lands. The after prom party holds everything all at once. The relief and the nerves, a little bit of performance still hanging on but slipping. You can feel the edge of summer in it. You can feel the edge of leaving. At some point, shoes are abandoned completely. Somebody checks the time and regrets it. Someone else decides that it doesn't matter what time it is. By the time the sky starts thinking about morning, the group is smaller, quieter, the music is lower. People sit closer without making a big deal out of it. There's a sense, soft but real, that the exact combination of people won't happen again quite the same way. The engines start and the doors close and the night folds up. My after prom party was in a field.
The first after prom party was with my boyfriend, and we won't talk about that. But the second after prom party was with all my friends, and we were in a bowling alley. They stayed open all night, and then we ended up out at a girl's house. Her parents were there, the whole thing. And we weren't that wild in high school.
We occasionally, like once or twice, we would have parties. And so my junior year after prom party was one of the best like nights like of partying in high school, like special event type of thing. And it was my friend Ben. He lived out on Bee Creek, and across from his parents' like falling down house was a giant field. And we drank like high school type drinks. We weren't like hard partying or anything. We had like some wine coolers.
Zima.
Yeah, just put blankets out on the sort of damp ground, and we pulled his Ford Escort up and turned his radio up really loud. The only expensive thing in that fucking car was the stereo. Listen to like, really bizarre mixture of music I think until the sun came up. I think that was when we went home. We had to forge permission slips and then lie. That was like the scariest part. Was there was an actual after prom party that we were supposed to go to. You could get a permission slip from your parents to go to the after prom party that was hosted by the church or something. So we did that, but then we didn't go, and we just went somewhere else. I don't know. We should have been in so much shit because I feel certain that they knew what we did.
Right. My parents didn't ask a lot of questions. But I was the first one in my family to make it to prom. So,
My mom was there. She was pretty rigid with me. So it was one of the few times where I didn't have to suffer intense consequences for doing something that I wanted to do.
My mom was pretty lax. And then she hated my biological father. And he got in some trouble and had to start paying arrears on child support. So we were getting a bigger check than we were used to. And she would just give me the whole thing. And that would be my allowance for the month. So I was going around with like $400 a month, like to do whatever I wanted with. That was like a lot of money, And
that is a lot of money.
And now she was concerned that I wasn't good with money because you didn't teach me to be good with money. You taught me, here's some money, go spend it, And I got good at that. I can spend some money now.
Do you remember your first job, how much money you made? What was minimum wage?
It was like $7.25 an hour.
What?
I think.
Minimum wage was $4.25.
That sounds about right. Back when, because my first job was in 1994.
Yep. It was $4 back then. I think it was $4.25.
Well, I was working food service, so it was even lower than that.
Yeah. At Pizza Hut, it was $2.13 an hour.
Yeah.
And then if you made tips, you were supposed to report them, but we would just multiply the amount of hours that we worked by 3.15 and then say that was how many tips we made. Because that would have, by that time, minimum wage was $5.25.
Right.
It went up from 4 something to $5.25 in 95 or 6.
I didn't remember that. I thought I didn't remember it being that low, but I'm sure it was because I worked shitty jobs.
I think it's still $7.25 in Ohio.
Maybe that's where I got the number.
Ohio's minimum wage, it went up this year. As of January 1st, 2026, Ohio's minimum wage is $11 an hour for non-tipped employees and $5.50 for tipped employees.
Wow.
For smaller businesses, the minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. What? How does that work? This rate of, the $11 per hour applies to employers with annual gross receipts over $405,000. So if you work for like a big corporation, you make $11 an hour, but for a small business, it's $7.25.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does for the business, but
Kentucky is still $7.25 across the board. I was working at the bowling alley when it went up to that.
Wow, you were rolling in it then, huh? No pun intended. Rolling, get it? Rolling like a bowling ball.
Yep. I was. So that was 2009. I started at the bowling alley in 2006 at $7.50 an hour. So minimum wage went up to $7.25, and I think that was when I went to day shift. So I went up to 10. The most money I made hourly before going on to like a job, like this, a white collar job, was $10.50 an hour.
I worked for Amazon and made good money. It was like $13 an hour or something like that. It was enough to pay our bills. With Amazon, the best part of the pay was the benefits. We had really good insurance, but then you got vested company stock at the same time.
It's such an old person thing to say, but I was thinking the same thing. Like those things that are as good, if not better, as money, like health insurance or whatever, they're a really big deal.
Yeah. Well, every 6 months or so, you got stock in the company for free, and Amazon stock was worth some money. So
yeah,
I know some people that retired off their stock.
Damn.
People that were there for 20 years.
I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, did you bring a noun of Appalachian interest?
I did. I brought a surprising one this week. All right, let's see here. Let me get my glasses. All right. So today's Appalachian noun of interest is a person that doesn't give off Appalachian energy immediately, Steve Harvey. Yeah, I know it's not the first name that comes to mind. As we've covered in earlier noun segments, you're probably thinking of a banjo, a front porch, or maybe even someone like Dolly Parton. Not a 6-foot-tall black man in a $3,000 suit telling somebody their answer is wrong on national television. But stay with me. Steve Harvey was born in Welch, West Virginia, coal country. His dad was a coal miner. Like, this is not a metaphor. This is not a country aesthetic. This is the real deal. Dirt under your nails, long shifts, a hard life kind of place. And that's what gets me, because somewhere along the way, we just stopped claiming him. Nobody ever says, "Do you know who's Appalachian? Steve Harvey." We act like he just appeared fully formed in a shiny suit, already disappointed in somebody's answer. But no, that man came from the mountains. Now, his family moved to Cleveland when he was a kid, which, if you know anything about Appalachia, makes perfect sense. That's part of the story, too, that people leave. They go where the work is, but they don't leave empty-handed. They take the stories, the humor, the way of talking, all of it. And if you listen close, you can still hear it. Not in his accent, maybe, but in the way he tells a story. The timing, the side-eye, the "I know exactly what kind of mess this is" energy. That feels familiar. I think part of why we don't think of him as Appalachian is because we've got this very narrow picture in our heads that through stereotypes, we've come to expect a certain voice, a certain look, a certain kind of life. And usually that doesn't include people of color. But if I know anything about Appalachia, I know it isn't just one thing. We are no monolith. Appalachia is coal towns and church dinners. It's people leaving and people staying. It's struggle, it's hustle, and it's knowing how to read a room and knowing when something ain't right. It's every color, every creed, every kind of person there is. And there's no one way to be an Appalachian. If you've ever watched Steve Harvey pause, stare at someone, and just let the silence do the work, that's Appalachian communication right there. No extra words, just a look that says everything. So yeah, Steve Harvey, from Welch, West Virginia to Family Feud. And somehow still carrying a little bit of that mountain energy with him, even if it's dressed in a whole lot fancier now.
It's so true. I did not know that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have a friend who's from Welch, and it's apparently a very backwoods country kind of place. If you're from Welch, listeners, and that's not the truth, let us know. But that's my understanding of it. It's southern West Virginia.
Well, and let us know if you knew that, How cool. It makes total sense, though, if you just look at his affect and how he is with people,
Yeah.
There's a really funny episode, or maybe more than one episode of Family Feud that is, I think they did it for Pride Month, and maybe they'll do some of them for charity, like celebrity versions, and it was all drag queens. My God, did they have a time with him. And, he played it, he did like his job basically as the straight cis host is to play the straight man, to be the person who's sort of like, oh, I don't know what I've gotten myself into here, because obviously the drag queens are going to cut up. But like, I watched it and I was like, oh God, what's this going to be like? And it wasn't like, ew, disgusting. He actually was playing this kind of like ingenue. They were flirting with him. It was kind of sweet. I'm pretty sure, I think RuPaul was the captain of one of the teams.
I watch a lot of compilations of things. I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV. Yeah. And I am appreciative of news bloopers compilations in particular. And sometimes the Steve Harvey compilations come with those. Like, if you like this, well, then you'll like that. And so I've seen quite a few of those. I don't actually watch Family Feud, but I see a lot of those compilations. And I think I've seen RuPaul on there, but I haven't seen that whole episode. So
yeah, I haven't seen it either. I'm pretty sure I saw a compilation on TikTok or something. But it's so true, like the point about how we really whitewash Appalachia, even those of us from there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how that happens. Are we influenced by majority culture's view of us? Because I remember distinctly all the people of color I grew up with.
Right.
And, when I put pressure on it, when I look closely at it, I can see it. I see like how the ways that they were kind of different, but also not different from us. And those ways are surprising because it's not as simple as like they were called a different kind of names, because I don't know. They were kind of exotic, I think, to people. Maybe. What's the word for that? There's a word for how majority culture fetishizes minoritized people. I don't know. It's a kind of Orientalism. But the thing is, like, they weren't different than us because they literally grew up there too.
Right. And like my goddaughters, they were mixed race, and we just don't think of people from West Virginia and the Appalachian region as being a person of color whatsoever.
I literally have black cousin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just kind of forget about them.
And I think you'll find that all through the Appalachian region that, and that a lot of people do that. I don't know. I think you hit it right on the nail when whatever that word you're trying to come up with, or if there isn't a word for it, you should invent one. Orientalism of Appalachia.
Yeah. When I wrote my prelims there, I did that. I applied. It was a post-colonial framework. I used Said and Spivak to write about Appalachia, to write about white trash. This was before Nancy Eisenberg's book came out. So I looked and couldn't find any references that had done that specifically. And that's not really what she did. She's a historian. But the person who was the chair of ACS at the time, how they also have a grade on it, he was angry that I had done that. He accused me of racism, basically.
Oh, wow.
He said it's racist to do a post-colonial reading of, what? He didn't actually know what to say. He didn't say white people, but that was what he meant. He just said, this is inappropriate. And I was like, prove me wrong.
Right.
And then eventually he said, like, I hate that it works. And I was like, well, that's a you problem. But they still passed me.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the year that they got rid of the passing with distinction thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Our cohort was not good.
Yeah, mine didn't do great either.
It would have had to be me, and they didn't want to, so they just got rid of it. Like the year before, they still did it. They stopped it our year. I'm not claiming total credit, although it was likely me that broke it.
Way to go, pal.
Yeah. It's fucked up. It's made up anyway.
Yeah.
So do you want to do Kinky Boots for next week?
Sure. That sounds like a good plan.
It'll be fun. And I don't think it's a terribly long movie. So listeners, I looked into it and we found this movie. There's a couple of ways you can watch it for free. One is the usual, like watch it on Pluto with ads. But another, this is our chance to revisit how much we love public libraries, is an app called Hoopla. You have this, right?
Yes. You can get it on your TV.
Yeah. It is just like Pluto or Netflix or whatever. If you have a smart TV, a Roku, or probably Fire Stick or whatever third party, the TV itself almost certainly has an app for Hoopla. And if you don't know, this is a service that you sign up to watch titles available through your public library. I don't think it's any. I think it has to be available through your public library.
Yeah.
Is that true?
They pay a fee.
Yeah. It is like that's an option on Hoopla. I don't know if it means that your specific library has to have selected it. You might be able to contact them and ask them to. I don't know. There's a university version called Canopy that works that way. If it's not on there, you just contact them.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch along with us, if you haven't seen Kinky Boots, either log into or create a Hoopla account. And if you don't have a library card, go get one and then ask the librarians about it.
Yeah. Another thing I did on the Hoopla app, you can get a free pass to the Great Courses. Do you know the Great Courses?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love watching those sometimes. They have some really interesting different topics on there. But you can get a free pass to them and you don't have to pay for anything. So I'm a big fan of it. I love Hoopla.
Yeah.
I'm always either listening to an audiobook or something on there.
It's so cool. I didn't know that there was a video I should have assumed, but when I was looking, I found that there's a TV app. I was like,
yeah,
brilliant.
Canopy got me this week though. The movie that I showed in class, White Like Me, has been on Canopy for years. And then out of nowhere this week, it was not. So I had to scramble to find it elsewhere. Yeah, that's what I thought too. It had been a steady source literally for years.
They move around and I wish they wouldn't, but I also know why they do. One time I was trying to teach, I was streaming something via Zoom and it had moved platforms and how it has that digital asset management thing that'll make it go blank if you try to share it. I was like, I guess class is canceled.
Yeah.
Fuck. I promise I own this. But it doesn't matter, because owning something doesn't give you streaming rights.
I learned that during the pandemic. Because I always play music videos before class, like something thematic to the day. And we were talking about, I think we were talking about race that day in my women's studies class. And I showed Childish Gambino's This Is America. They could see the video, but they couldn't hear it. So they turned the volume of it off.
Oh, there's a bot in Discord that'll let us watch YouTube videos, which is cool. But there's a lot of things I intended to do and I just never got around to because life keeps lifing.
Yeah, like our website. I feel that.
We've got plans for this summer, y'all. Do y'all have Pride up there? You got Pride at Toledo.
Yeah, but it's never very big. And I'm one of the people afraid to go to those kinds of events these days. Like, I know you probably shouldn't be, but there's too many crazy people with guns in this world. It just scares me.
Yeah, I don't think I would go to the big ones. Even like Kentuckiana Pride is enormous.
Those are the only prides I've really been to are Chicago and that kind of
Go to
thing.
a little one.
Yeah.
Find you a small town pride.
I've been to Charleston, West Virginia.
That sounds like it was probably big, wasn't it?
No, Charleston is a tiny little town.
Well, yeah, I've been to Charleston, but not to their pride.
Yeah.
Pikeville, Kentucky, their pride is in September. I don't know, they always have it in September. Maybe because the college kids are back, but they're on their 7th year this year, and they've grown quite a lot. So the small town prides, they don't stay small, but they're probably not ever going to be like the Chicago's or the San Francisco's.
I got to be in Chicago the year that Obergefell passed. It was like 3 weeks after, and the mood was just amazing. It was really cool.
I bet.
It was great.
Oh, what a time. I read that this current court, the Trump-stacked court, has declined pretty much all civil rights cases for women and minorities. And the ones they have accepted have been cis white men complaining about things.
Yeah. I read a story yesterday about how the U.S. let in like 4,500 refugees last year, and all but 3 were from South Africa. White people from South Africa.
I hate us. No.
I do too.
Where can we go? Where could we make our Queernecks haven?
Well, Canada's the easy answer, but I don't see why they would want me.
Right. Yeah. That's the trick, is like this whole immigration thing. There's not many places that just say, hey, yeah, come on, everybody.
Oh, I found out that I get to keep my job next year for certain. I got to sign my contract.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You get a 3-year contract?
No, just a 1 year. But if they offer you, if they would offer me a 4th year, they would have to make it a 3-year contract. So,
yeah, I thought that we were up to 4.
No, this is my 3rd. It'll be my 3rd year.
Okay. All right. Well, hell yeah. 1 more year of molding young minds and paying for rent.
Yes. Wonderful. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do after this, but if you've got any job leads out there, listeners, you let me know.
Right. We're both desperate for either to make money with this podcast or to get jobs. I'll be podcasting from a hot spot from my truck soon. That's not true. I'm not homeless yet. And I have family support and some friends who are going to stop me from starving to death. So
I'll keep you with coconut bowls.
I ate all those fucking things already.
They're addictive.
It was awful. I mean, it was so good. They were delicious, and they're so light and fluffy that they don't even make you feel sick if you eat too many of them. And so I was just like,
I'm so glad you enjoyed them.
We're so good. But between that and I started my meth back, I'm back on Adderall. I am bouncing off the walls today. I'm going to go take a real long walk.
Listeners, if you don't know, I sent Dash some Raffaello. They're the coconut version of Ferrero Rocher balls. They are freaking delicious. They are coconut and almond. They are 5 stars. Totally worth it.
And they have this like whipped white chocolate mousse on the inside around the nut. Oh, so good.
Yeah. They're delicious.
Yeah, I ate the whole box in like 2 days.
When I was teaching American Cultural Studies at BGSU, one of the assignments that I would give my students was a culinary tourism assignment where they had to go try a food that they had never tried before, that from a non-American culture. I was like, I don't care if that means you go try churros. You know, if you've never tried churros before, go try something different. Oh, wait, what was my point? What were we just talking about?
Raffaello.
Oh, and I recommended to the students that they try like the either Southside 6 or the kebab that's in town. And one of the students wrote, they said, when I learned from this project is if tells you to go somewhere to eat, you go there. So if I tell you should eat something, you should eat it because it's damn delicious.
Nice. Yeah, I stopped by a Mexican place in Fargo after it took me 7 hours to buy this truck. That's what it takes to get a deal, you guys. 3 weeks of prep and sociopathy, and then 7 hours of hanging out at a dealership. So I got my great deal on a truck, and then it was like 10 o'clock at night and I was starving. And so the only thing open was this Mexican restaurant in Fargo. That plate of food I sent you, I swear, it was it wasn't even a normal plate. It was one of the, the football shaped ones, the oval ones. Those aren't plates. Nobody tell the Mexican restaurants this, but those are not plates.
Those are platters.
Yeah, they're platters. But they piled high with carnitas and like all these like sauteed vegetables and pico de gallo, guacamole, rice, the beans, all the good shit. A bunch of toasted, what are they called? Tortillas. He comes out with this plate and I was like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I can't do this. I thought I was ordering something normal. I was like, oh no, because I had just eaten a bunch of junk food and popcorn that day, so I already didn't feel great. I was not expecting that. I still have leftovers.
Wow. We went out and we got carne asada tacos the other night, and they were so good. They're my favorite. They're my absolute favorite. I want tacos now, to be honest with you.
That sounds good. I'm probably going to heat up some leftovers. Maybe it'll be the last of it. Well, listeners, been real. Thanks for hanging out with us again. So next week, we will be reviewing the movie Kinky Boots with Joel Edgerton and Chiwetel Ejiofor. Sign up for Hoopla or watch it on Pluto ahead of time and get ready for us to laugh about it.
Sounds good.
And we'll see you next time. Say hi to your mom and them.
Bye.